it is Ms. Zix again. I'm back with my third chapter in a day. I'm just getting really sucked into this book and want to see what happens. So, Crash still has unresolved grief, even though Scooter is starting to get better. But by better, it just means he's still sick because of the stroke, and he's going to have a lot of time getting better or recuperating. So let's see what's happening in chapter 34. Chapter 34, January 1st. Mike came over today. The rest of the family went off to visit Uncle Herm, so we had the place to ourselves. When we weren't in the kitchen, we were up in my room watching the parades and bowl games and tapes, and checking out each other's Christmas stuff. Mike got a Jetwater Uzi and a Walkman, which I didn't get. He got a TV, but my old one is bigger, 21 inches to 18 inches for him. Plus, he doesn't have auto sleep off or wake up on his remote like I do. He got 3 tapes to my 2, but my 2 cost more than his 3. I whipped out my Raiders jacket. Check this out, baby. I put it on, along with the Raiders wristband and a Raiders cap. He flapped his hand. Aw, that ain't nothing. That's a rag. My Dallas Cowboys jacket I got last year is still better than that thing. He was sneering, but he couldn't take his eyes off my jacket. If I wanted to, he would have traded his Cowboys for my Raiders and given me free use of his Uzi for a week besides. But then his sneer turned to a smirk, an evil grin, and I knew what was coming. He hadn't said anything about his sneakers the whole time, and neither did I. I pretended I didn't notice, but he had been waiting, saving them for last. He was sitting on my desk chair. He put both his feet up on the desk. Okay, he said, grinning. Check these. They were the most beautiful sneakers I'd ever seen. Every time I went to the mall lately, I would stop at Foot Locker and stare at them. I put them on my Christmas list, but my father said no way he was going to spend more on a pair of sneakers than on a week's worth of groceries. Besides, he said, the pair I have are perfectly good. On the last night that I talked to Scooter, before the morning and the cherry tree, I asked him to try to change my father's mind. He said he would try, but I guess he never got the chance. But the last thing I remember him saying was, don't worry too much about it. It's not the sneakers that count. It's the feet. I sneered at Mike. I've seen better. He grinned. He held the bottoms out to me. Check the soles, baby. They were so gorgeous. I felt woozy. 3 colors. I could see myself jumping over backwards. Defenders sobbing like babies. Spectators gasping at moves no human had ever made before. He stuck one foot in front of my face. I could smell the white, skin-smooth leather. I smacked the foot away. It ain't the sneakers, I said. It's the feet. He looked at me like I was crazy. Then he laughed. He knew I didn't believe it. While we were watching one of the tapes Mike had bought over, he got hungry again and went down to the kitchen. When he came back, he made a jelly donut in his hand and a sailor hat on his head. He had the sides pulled down like a white bowl. Where'd you get it, kitchen? Where did you get it, I said. Kitchen. The hat. Room down the hall. What were you doing in there? His tongue drilled in the donut and came out with a clump of jelly. He shrugged, looking around. Ain't that the old dude's room, your grandfather? Take it off, I said. Scooter never wears that hat. It sits on the bedpost. He said me and Abby could wear it if we ever wanted to. Mike wasn't moving, except his tongue drilling for jelly. I jumped up and ripped the hat off his head. Hey, he squawked. What you doing? I thought you said he was in the hospital. He don't need it. He's old. I screamed. He's not old. And charged down the hall. I folded the brim back up like it was supposed to be. I snuck it back on the bedpost. My hands were shaking. My throat felt funny. My eyes, too. I went into the bathroom and shut the door and sat on the edge of the tub. The doorbell rang. I went downstairs. I could hear that in my room Mike had switched to sports bloopers. I did what I usually do when someone comes to the door. I peeked from the edge of the bay window. It was Webb. He kept pushing the bell button and staring at the door like a dope. He had a package in his hands, sort of a square, wrapped in brown paper and string. It took forever It took him forever to give up. I could see him open the storm door and stoop. When he walked away, he didn't have the package anymore. I gave him a minute to get down the street, then opened the door. I brought the package inside. I could see that the paper was cut off from a supermarket bag. The envelope was taped to the top. Inside was a note. The klutzy handwriting was Webb's. Dear Mr. Scooter, my parents and I are very sorry to hear about your illness. We hope you get well very soon. In order to help you, I'm sending you this jar of mud from the Missouri River. It was given to me by my great-grandfather, Henry Wilhide Webb III, who dived to the bottom of the river to get it 71 years ago. There is a legend about the Missouri River mud, where we used to live. I have told it to your grandson, John. I am sure he will be pleased to tell it to you. Your friend, Penn W. Webb. P.S. As you can see, the mud is dry. Just add water. Upstairs, Mike was howling at sports bloopers. I stuck the note back in the envelope. I stood at the window looking out. I don't know how much later, something hit me on the head. It was Mike, bonking me with my new football. Man, that's the funniest thing I ever saw. Can I take it for a couple days? Go ahead, I said. I turned back to the window. Who was at the door? Nobody. What's that? What? In your hand? Nothing. Well, he said, time to eat. You got any frozen pizzas? Yeah. So let's make one. Go ahead, I said. I ain't hungry. Okay, so it sounds like Crash. Like, Mike is being very insensitive to Crash and how, like, what grief he's going through. It sounds like Penn is having his own grief, and he wants to, like, if you think back to to the first few chapters, we learned about that mud and how it has healing powers. So, it sounds like Penn and Crash are, like, going through similar feelings, but Crash, like, is still trying to push him away while Penn is trying to work through his. I wonder how, and then Mike's just being an insensitive jerk. So I wonder how the next chapter will be. Bye, have a great day.